Hi, I'm Tuan and welcome to my kitchen. If you're new to this channel, I cook food from my home country, the Netherlands, and some of its former colonies, such as Indonesia. And today's dish is called pilaf. It is the dish that gets served every time I go back home to visit my parents, and my mom will invite my sister and her entire family, and my mom will cook a massive portion of bami, which was last week's video. I'll put the link right up there, and pilaf. And pilaf is a chicken dish that has a sweet and spicy tomato sauce and kind of a surprise ingredient to me. So you will need 1 kilo or 2¼ pound of chicken breast cut in pieces. You will need 210 grams of tomato paste. You'll need 1 large onion cut into medium-sized pieces. And you will need 15-ounce can of peaches in juice. We like to pick the kind of peaches that are in natural juice and not just in sugar syrup. So this has pear juices from concentrate and it works really well. You will also need some sambal, and we discussed sambal in the last video as well. It is a chili paste from Indonesia. If you can't find this, you can use sriracha. And you will need kecap manis. Again, we discussed kecap manis in the bami episode, and it is a sweet, thick soy sauce from Indonesia. A common brand that you can find of kecap manis in Asian grocery stores around in the United States is ABC. You'll need some water as well. Before we start cooking, we'll need to get the juice out of the peach can. So I've washed the can all the way, and I'm now going to pop it, but I'm going to leave the lid on just a little bit so that I can just get the juice and keep the peaches inside. That was it. So we're going to add just as much water to this as we have the peach juice. All right. I had about 3/4 cup of peach juice, and I've added maybe a cup to it. That's okay, it doesn't have to be exact. So we have the peaches separated and taken out of the container. We have peach juice and water right here in a 1-to-1 ratio. So now we're going to go to the stove and start cooking. Turn on the gas on medium-high heat, and we're going to add some oil to it. Just going to wait for the oil to heat up, and then we will add the onions to it. To test to see if the oil is hot enough, I'm going to throw a little piece of onion in there, and if it starts to sizzle, we know we're there. Yes, we are. Let's add the rest. And I use a wooden spoon to separate the pieces and stir it around. And again, my trusty pollepel, I use it all the time. So keep stirring it and cook it until the onion starts to get glassy. We're not seasoning this yet, but we will season once we add the chicken. So we're just going to cook these onions until they are soft and translucent. We don't want to brown them. Okay, the onions are where I want them to be. They have gotten a little bit more translucent. They're softening up. So now it is time to add the chicken. Once we add the chicken, we have to season it with some kosher salt and some black pepper. Now we are going to keep stirring this and cooking it until it's starting to brown up a little bit and the chicken is most of the way done. We don't have to cook it all the way right now, because once we add the liquid from the peaches and the water, as well as the tomato paste, we are going to let it simmer for a while, so it will continue cooking. The chicken has been cooking for a little bit. We're not quite where we need to be, so we're going to let it go a little longer. So I can check to see how it's done by cutting a piece of chicken in half with the pollepel, and it is mostly cooked. So it is time to add the rest of the ingredients, with the exception of the peaches. Turn the heat down, and we are going to add the peach juice with the water. And that will stop the sizzling right away. We are going to add the tomato paste and stir that through. Okay, we've stirred the tomato paste through most of the way. Now it is time to add 9 tablespoons of ketchup mayonnaise. Now I don't measure it out, I just count it out. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that is about the right color also. So that's another way to tell. You get this really deep, dark red color. Time to add the sambal. Depending on how spicy you like it, you can put in as much or as little as you want. We put in 1 teaspoon, and that typically is enough sambal for this portion. Also, when we serve this at home, there's always extra sambal and extra ketchup on the table for people to add themselves. I'm increasing the temperature a little bit to bring it to a very light simmer. Keep stirring it from time to time while it is simmering on the stove so the flavors can develop. Somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes. And after that is when we will add in the peaches. Give it a little stir to make sure nothing is sticking to the bottom. So while the pilaf is suddering on the stove, and suddering means simmering in English, that is your Dutch word for the day, I just want to talk about the origin of this dish. So I had to do some research for this because I just know it as a dish my mom makes, and we eat it with bami, which is an Indonesian dish. So I always thought this was Asian inspired. It turns out this actually originated in the Middle East as a dish, and it was pilaf with a V, also made with chicken, but I think it was a different fruit from what I could read. But this is the Dutch variety that not just my mom, but my friends' moms and other people make quite often. Okay, we have been suddering or simmering for about 30 minutes, and as you can see, the sauce has gotten thicker than it was, and it absolutely smells delicious in here. Now it is time to cut in the peaches. So we bought the peaches that are in wedges like this. I prefer to have them in smaller pieces. So with a paring knife, I just cut them in 3. Be careful, don't cut your fingers. This way the peaches are about the same size as the pieces of chicken. If your family doesn't like the peaches, you don't have to cut them all in. You can just put half of them in if you want. I know in our family there are people who absolutely want peaches when they're scooping it up, and then there are other people who say, no peaches for me. So it all depends. I like the flavor. By the way, when you're eating these peaches will get really hot compared to the chicken, so be careful eating it. The pilaf has simmered for 30 minutes and it is time to have a bite. So let's scoop some up. When my mom has the entire family over and is scooping this up, we typically eat it on the bami. So the sauce kind of acts as pasta sauce or noodle sauce, and everyone always asks for extra sauce. So if you're the last person who gets to eat or gets to scoop up, you probably won't have that much of the sauce left. Although, to be honest, typically my mom and my dad wait until the very end before they scoop up, so they're the ones who end up with less sauce. All right, let's have a smell. It smells absolutely delicious. You can smell the tomato, you can smell a little bit of the spice from the sambal, you can smell the sweetness from the peaches. And I'm hungry, so eet smakelijk. Oh, I grabbed a big piece of chicken, so it's gonna take a while. It's perfect. The chicken is tender and not dry. You can taste the tomatoes, you can taste the spiciness of the sambal, the peach juice, and even a little piece of peach that I ate add some sweetness and a little fruitiness to it. One more bite. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like and subscribe buttons below. I'm going to keep eating this, so thank you, and until the next time.